Anyway, Angel Dust, total critical darling, and a notable record for just being so fucking weird and such a stylistic smorgasbord, yet so popular at the same time. Anybody who's honest with themselves, it's frankly, it's perplexing. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I said before, it's such a beautiful thing on the very rare occasion when true eccentric and oddball artistry and mainstream taste just have this momentary collision, and that's what Angel Dust is. And a lot of people, probably the majority, would put this in their number one slot. Who can blame them? The one thing I do have to emphasize about Angel Dust right off the bat, it is a weird record, sure, but when you step back and actually look at it, it's kind of a logical follow-up to The Real Thing. Like, there's a lot of Real Thing residue on this album, whether it's obviously the amazing single Midlife Crisis, which I believe is the band's most successful song in terms of chart performance. You also have the synth-tinged Groove Machine, A Small Victory. You have the opener Land of Confusion, too. So there are moments on this album that feel like The Real Thing just evolved a little bit further. Of course, it's the bigger departures here that get all the attention. The swaying Western-themed RV, the Midnight Cowboy cover, the cheerleader-led homoerotic anthem, Be Aggressive. These are what fans think of that makes this album special. But I just want to point out that there really is a grounded aspect to it as well. There's a plenty of The Real Thing mixed into Angel Dust. It's beautifully bizarre, don't get me wrong, but people wouldn't like it if it was just weird. The songs are special too. And the lyrics are also really interesting on this album. It tackles a lot of topics. Obviously, homosexuality is touched on. You have white trash America being discussed on RV. You have the wisdom of fortune cookies. Mike Patton is also a really interesting lyricist on top of just being, obviously, from a technical perspective, one of the best vocalists of all time. All that being said, though, all the great things about Angel Dust, what's fascinating about it is it's one of those very few kind of codified classics, at least from a music critic perspective, where virtually everyone admits that there's at least one song on here that they don't enjoy. There's at least one moment where they tune out. If you say that you enjoy every second of Angel Dust, you're a liar. Because this album challenges you in a very positive way. It's a challenging, confusing record to listen to, and everyone has that moment where they kind of tune out. A lot of people have referenced RV as a song they don't enjoy. Not me. I fucking love that song. For me, I tune out, let me think. The dark and dissonant Malpractice is a pretty unpleasant song to listen to. I usually skip that one, and I usually skip Jizzlobber. But that will vary from listener to listener. It's just interesting to note that it's one of those few albums where it's like a critical classic, but it's also not perfect, and everyone acknowledges that. But all that aside, this is a ridiculously cool record, totally unique, not only for its time, but just for all of time. And it's one of those albums that every, and I mean every, person who is interested in rock or metal in the broadest possible sense needs to hear. I don't say that a ton. I usually aim my recommendations at certain fans, like, oh, every thrash fan needs to hear this, every doom metal fan needs to hear this. But in this case, Angel Dust is a must listen for pretty much everybody in the broader sphere of rock or metal.